Hi there, Amy. Really nice to be back here. I think our first episode did generate a lot of interest, about this strange thing, according to some people, called mediation. So let's chat about mediation and where it's used, how it's used, what exactly it is. I'm sure you also have a lot of ideas to share about it.
Um, yeah, many people hear the term mediation, but they aren't very sure of what it really involves or what it means. It's not as much used as the term meditation or even litigation for that matter.
Right.
But today, let's pull back the curtain and walk through what mediation is, how it works, what no, when it might be a right choice. And to start with, if we can have an example uh, to help us understand what mediation really means.
Okay, but since you started off by mentioning meditation, I want to just uh, tell you about a small funny incident which actually happened. Um, I'm a mediator with a private mediation center called CAMP. In the early days, very early days, when we started off in 2015, I remember when some of us walked into office. We see this couple sitting there in the reception area with their meditation mats. So one of us walked up to them and said, "Yeah, how can we help you?" So they said, "Yeah, we've heard this is a very good meditation center. We'd like to know more. We'd like to know details about it, and who teaches me? What sort of meditation do you teach?" So then we it was quite funny. We sort of sat them down and told them what exactly we do, and they also had a good laugh about it. Only good thing was they got very interested in knowing what exactly mediation was. So this confusion between meditation and mediation was sorted out for them. And they said, "This does sound interesting." So how we told them was, and which we do very often, we told them about this story, which I think makes a lot of sense for beginners. Like, there's this in a house, a mother comes across her two daughters fighting over one orange. And she asked them, like, "What is it? I mean, why are you shouting? Why are you screaming at each other just over an orange? I mean, go and pick up one more orange." So one, say, daughter A and daughter B. Daughter A says, "There is only one orange and I saw it first and I need it." So daughter B says, "So what? I mean, I also need it. And there's only one orange." So typically, suppose the mother should have said, "Okay, fine, you both need the orange, right? I'll cut it into half. You take one half, you take the other half, and go do what you want with it." But if the mother plays the role of a mediator, she'd sit down the daughters A and B and ask, "Okay, A, tell me, what do you need the orange for?" So A will tell her that, "You know what, I am making a cake, so I need the juice of a full orange. It's an orange cake, and it's very tasty. And the whole flavor will come out if I put the juice of an entire orange. So that's why I need it." So she said, "That's all you need from the orange?" She said, "That's all I need." She said, "What do you?" Then she asked daughter B, What are you going to do with the orange?" She said she is a theater person. So she says, "I have this show in the evening. My skin is looking rather dull, and I needed the skin of the orange to make a face mask kind of a thing and use it." So she said, "So what would you have done with the fruit?" She said, "I wouldn't have used it. I don't need it." So she asked daughter A, what would you have done with the skin of the orange? She said, thrown it into the dustbin. Don't you do that? So she said, now you got your answer. So here goes the skin and here goes the. So your problem sorted out? So see, I mean, she made one orange into two. And suppose a situation had arisen where daughter A said, I need the juice and I need the skin because it's a slightly bittersweet thing. Then what? So then you have to out of the box thinking. The daughter B could have said, "Oh, you need it for that. You know what? I have learned the recipe of a new pineapple cake. It's very yummy, and we got pineapple in the fridge. So why don't I take that out and cut it up for you? And you can make a lovely, yummy pineapple cake. This orange I'll keep for the juice." And so as a mediator, when a mediator comes in, what exactly is mediation? Mediation is when a neutral mediator comes into a, a, a disagreement which has arisen between parties where they're not able to sort it out on their own. The mediator is just assisting them in, what do you call it, sorting out the issue in a very collaborative manner so that both their interests are met with. So I hope I've sort of in very simple terms explained what exactly is mediation.
It's quite true that the the misunderstanding that arises with mediation and meditation, these instances have been quite true there. And I remember 6 years back when I typed on my phone mediation, so it says spelling mistake or it's an English word. So people can make mistakes. Why are these devices not understanding that it's not meditation and it is mediation? The devices are supposed to be smarter than us when it comes to the spellings. And then it would still say, are you try autocorrect meditation? Autocorrect. And when the AI softwares were introduced, for example, chat that we have, or there are quite a few Gemini Bard and others. So the first time when I tried it, and I just like, okay, what is mediation? And then it actually gave me the definition of, I think you want to know about meditation. I think you want to type. So I said, no, I don't think that. I want to actually know about mediation, which is a dispute resolution process, which is known as dispute resolution process. Um, so tell me about that. And then it took me a few prompts, but this was back then. Um, Now, today, it's relevant and it's become a relevant term. And when we type mediation, there is no autocorrect, at least on my phone, at least on the emails, on the computer, or the software, AI softwares that I use. And when I tell people about mediation, they hear it as mediation. Um, this is the evolution of my own mediation, but like the with the term, the journey from the receiving end at the receiving end. Like when I receive now it's not that new. But there was one incident that I remember. I just happened to meet um, a founder of a startup. A friend of mine referred to me and said, "Why don't you meet this founder and then explain to him about mediation and just introduce that founder. Maybe it is useful to adapt at his business or whatever environment." Um, and then when I met him, So it was the first meeting. So of course we started talking about who you are, where are you from, and for how long have you been in this practice. But just in few sentences, he started telling me about his personal uh, family situation, which he was dealing with then. And I gave him a listening ear. But I was still wondering as to where this is going because we were meeting for an hour and this was going on up to like 25, 30, 35 minutes. And I at that time now I can recall and I can share here, but at that time I don't know why I didn't stop and then bring back. So I want it automatically the space changed into okay, you want to share, you can share, and I'm going to be here. Um, but at the end of it, when it was my turn to speak, and I had no comments on his situation. I had only heard. So I started telling about, okay, so then, I connected at some point to mediation, and then I started speaking. Yeah, these kind of things come up, and these kind of situations come up for mediation. They opt for a mediator who is then present in these difficult situations and is dealing with the families and multiple in people who are interested. And then he said, okay, maybe somewhere it clicked to him that I'm not a counselor.
Right.
So we went that way. And meditation is one misunderstanding, and the other is it suddenly it appears as a counselor.
Yeah.
Then
Right.
this happens, and uh, the it's like the onus is on me, responsibility is on me to make it simpler to understand as to what is this mediation before even presenting it as a service that they can opt.
Opt for. Right. I mean, what you're
Right.
saying is so true. People, there are two misnomers even today. One, common misnomers. One is that mediation is only meant for family matters, and family matters means divorces and child custody and maintenance, and not for any kind of sorting out a commercial dispute or a workplace dispute. And I'm not talking about a common man when it comes to this. I'm talking about even people in the legal field who till about a couple of years back really thought that mediation was meant only for family matters.
Mm.
It is recently, say a couple of years back, that they have realized that mediation comes under the umbrella of alternate dispute resolution and can be used to resolve various kinds of disputes like commercial, like workplace, and has its own advantages. That's one misnomer. The second being, as you said, in family matters, when you're sitting with a couple, they always feel you're counseling them, which you rightly
Mm.
pointed out.
Mm.
So even yesterday, as in a mediation, I was in a private caucus with the husband when, I mean, you're given them an opening statement. That's how a mediation starts, by giving an opening statement to explain what the process of mediation is about. So this person, they've heard everything. I'm talking about a court mediation. I'm not talking about a private mediation. Private mediation parties come in with a lot more awareness. So this
Mm.
husband, after his lawyer is also sitting there, after almost half an hour down in the private caucus, he turns around and tells me, "Thank you so much for all this, all the counseling you've done." So I had to point out to him, but before I could point out to him, his lawyer turned around and told him, she is not a counselor. She is what is called a mediator. So I told him, see, understand the difference. For you have to be trained as a counselor. And here I'm a mediator. And I don't have the capacity to counsel you, your wife, or anybody.
Mm.
I'm only helping you, guiding you, take it anyway, to resolve the dispute you have with your wife. So, but I mean, he still looked confused. And, this confusion comes up very often, I've noticed. Not when it comes to commercial matters, there's no question of counseling. In family matters, as if you're trying to tell them how you should live your lives. And the last thing you do in mediation, as you're well aware, as a mediator, you do not make suggestions to anyone, right? I mean, you are asking questions in a way when they answer, they themselves realize, oh, yeah, I mean, like maybe I shouldn't have, I shouldn't have handled this situation in such a way. I'm just giving you an example. So so what I'm trying to say is that there's as far as family matters are concerned and where parties are concerned, for them there's a very thin line between mediation and between counseling,
Mm.
right?
Yeah. M- Maybe. I want to say, I'm not sure if it's right to say or wrong, but it could be a good point for reflection for the parties, because if they have started feeling comfortable and then start sharing, thinking of the mediator as a counselor, then they might as well need a counselor in their life,
Yes,
and they should seriously give it a thought and opt for counseling in for themselves in parallel to the mediation process
maybe.
they have ongoing in their life. Before we go to next thought on mediation, um, in line with these talks that we just have as to what is mediation in itself, um, could we also say that it's a service, or it is a process where you bring in a neutral third person, um, but it may not be a dispute situation. It could be when we use the word dispute or conflict, it suddenly gives an escalated feeling of lawyers being involved, courtrooms being involved. There may be times when you bring in a mediator because you have difficult conversations, and it could trigger emotions. It may not, it could, or it could not, but just for a safety, like precaution, bring in a neutral person so that they show you the view, maybe they show you the perspective that you as a participant are missing. That's what I felt when you um, you said about this, you narrated the story Orange. Now, there might not be a dispute as to, like, give me this orange, otherwise I'm going to leave the house and go. The child isn't at that level yet. And the other child also isn't escalated in a way that, oh no, I'm going to disown this family and then see, as an adult, I'm going to do all of this. But they're at a very initial stage as to, I need the orange, I also need the orange. And then the mother is trying to talk them out as to why and not. Sometimes I feel like when two of us, even at home, when we have a situation and then let's talk to this person and see what we've missed about any conversation. So Do you, from your experience of life, as well as a mediator, court annex mediator, as well as private mediator, have come across situations or scenarios where mediation can actually be applied or understood without waiting for it to be associated with a dispute or conflict?
Uh, I think for sure it can be. You're saying before it escalates, before any disagreement escalates, right?
Mm.
I'll
Yeah.
give you a, I'll give you a very common, or rather a very not common, a basic example. As I told you, I mean, when we were discussing last time, that I am also a litigating lawyer, right?
Mm.
So suppose, I mean, there have been numerous instances where, there have been commercial dealings between my client. They provide services, various type of services to their customers, and then the customer delays payment for the services for ABC reasons, and they have been conversing or having dialogues with each other that this is the time period for payment you've not paid and it's long overdue, so why don't you do something, don't force our hand. So then they come. My client will come back to me and say that, you know what, this is happening. And frankly speaking, we're not very keen on going to court and spending a lot of time. So what do we do? So then what I all the time advise them is, okay, I tell them to send a mail in a very, what do you call it, with a very collaborative tone that, we've been having these discussions over a period of time, and we are facing a financial crunch. We're expecting this payment. It's not come up. We have to pay our vendors. So why don't we sit and have a discussion and see where the problem lies? Okay. Now the response to that may be total silence. In which case, what I then tell the client is, okay, what we can now do is I will send them what is called a legal notice though, but there I will add a sentence that, my client has been reaching out to you and they want to settle this amicably. Why don't we all sit, with a neutral, and why don't we try sorting this out so that we understand, both of you, my client and you, both understand where each side is coming from and see how this can be sorted out without escalating it. And this tone in that notice, I'm not saying always, sometimes has helped the other party in coming forward.
Mm.
Then they come forward saying that we are also facing a financial crunch, you know, so you are saying that we have to pay you X amount with interest, etc., and we should pay it as a down payment. So then the third party helps them negotiate something like, okay, can the buyer, as a buyer, would you like to pay installments? How do you want to pay it? Not suggested. How do you want to pay it? The buyers have come out saying that, we would like installments. If a little bit of the interest can be waived, can we have that? And so before it escalates, this has happened a couple of times and it has been sorted out simply because the parties, when they were negotiating between themselves, what happens in a typical negotiation is each party gets stuck to their position, what you call in mediation, that I am right. I have
Mm.
supplied you, you have not paid me, you are wrong. You have to pay me.
Mm.
And the other side, either there's a silence or they come out with maybe a fabricated kind of a defense saying, no, no, your goods were defective. And that becomes sort of an issue. So when they get stuck, they don't go, they get just stuck there and they go on and on. Whereas if a third party comes in and starts asking them, especially start asking of course she'll ask the service provider, what happened, when did you provide, what were your terms normally, have you been doing business with them, how long, would you like to continue with them? Then goes to the buyer and say, yeah, what is the problem? Because the service provider is saying that you have been a good buyer all this time and they would like to continue with you, but why is it that this problem has come up? Then they come out with
Mm.
all their issues. So this is the advantage of a neutral party, because a neutral mediator makes both the negotiating parties or both the parties in disagreement to see the problem, see the other side's perspective, and then they start coming out with how is it possible to do this, how do we sort this out and still continue our relationship, etc., etc. So that way I have seen that it really is a great way of just at the beginning trying to get it sorted out.